Big news, Nintendo fans! It is official! Nintendo has just announced a brand new Nintendo Direct happening this Friday, September 12th, 2025. And it isn't just any Direct either. It will include games for the Switch 2 as well as the original Nintendo Switch. This is the first general Nintendo Direct in the Switch 2 era, and the expectations are through the roof. Let's take some time to break down everything we already know is coming from Nintendo and third parties, and of course, we'll dig into numerous rumors surrounding the Switch 2. But before we go any further, if this is your first time here, or you find yourself enjoying these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. It takes a fair amount of effort to create these videos, and it's nice to know people are interested in seeing more. It would also mean the world to me. With that being said, let's jump in. When we talk about Nintendo Directs, the first thing people want to know is, what is Nintendo themselves bringing to the table? Well, we already have a pretty good idea of some of the big games we should be seeing. First and foremost, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This game has been a long time coming. It was first teased all the way back in 2017 in development with Retro Studios, and now in 2025, it feels like the time has finally arrived. Fans are expecting a full trailer, maybe more gameplay and story beats, and hopefully, a concrete release date. And if Nintendo really wants to blow our minds, they'll show an extended gameplay sequence of how this will look and run on the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. Next, we've got Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. The previous Zelda Musou games were successful for Nintendo, combining the scale of the Dynasty Warriors series with the world of Hyrule. This new installment will give us a glimpse into Zelda's story during the past events of Tears of the Kingdom. While I enjoyed the story of Age of Calamity, this promises a canon narrative which is exciting to me as a huge Zelda fan. Also, Pokemon Legends ZA is launching on October 16th, and the early gameplay impressions are sounding promising. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a final trailer showcased here, as we're a little more than a month out from release. And of course, we can't ignore the biggest milestone on Nintendo's calendar. Mario's 40th anniversary is literally the day after the Direct, on September 13th. There is no doubt that Nintendo will dedicate part of this Direct to celebrating their most iconic character. We can only speculate as to what they will have in store for Mario, but if the 35th anniversary is any indication, we can expect a handful of announcements to commemorate the occasion. And then we've got something new from one of Nintendo's newer series, Splatoon Raiders. Splatoon has grown into one of the company's flagship franchises, and this entry will be the first to focus mainly on a single-player narrative. While details are still scarce, the idea of applying Nintendo's single-player formula to the series has me much more interested in this one than the previous entries. We also have the chance of seeing announcements of other first-party titles coming from Nintendo in 2026. If I had to speculate, Animal Crossing New Horizon was a global phenomenon, and people are already dying for the next game. While it's unlikely we see full gameplay, a teaser or even a logo reveal for the next Animal Crossing would create a lot of excitement. Finally, if I could throw my own personal wish into the hat, I would love to finally have the long-rumored ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. These games mean a lot to me, and I don't want to break out the Wii U every time I want to boot them up. So between Metroid, Zelda, Mario, Splatoon, and Pokemon, Nintendo's first-party lineup alone would carry an entire showcase, but I have a feeling we're just getting started. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the third-party games and the recently announced titles that are most likely guaranteed to appear. Square Enix is leading the charge with Octopath Traveler 0, set to launch on December 4th for both the Switch and the Switch 2. The HD 2D art style looks as stunning as ever, and this prequel is shaping up to be a fresh twist on the formula from the first two games. They also have Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade scheduled to come out for the Switch 2 later this year. Now would be a perfect time to provide a concrete release date for the latter, as we're hearing it's running well on the Switch 2. Let's also not forget that we still need a release date for Elden Ring and possibly the Dusk Bloods. From Software is likely to have their own segment during this direct. We also know Hades 2 will be a console exclusive at launch. This is a perfect opportunity for Supergiant to announce a 1.0 release date and when we can get our hands on this game. As the sequel to one of the best games for Nintendo Switch, I think this would be a highlight for many people. Outside of these, the Switch 2 is already proving it can handle some of the more demanding ports from other publishers. Star Wars Outlaws and Apex Legends are both recent releases that showcase what the system is capable of. These games are a clear sign that third-party support for the Switch 2 will be far stronger than what we saw in the early years of the original Nintendo Switch, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more beloved games from the PS5 and Xbox Series systems to get a spotlight during this presentation. Alright, so we've talked about what we know. Now let's go on ahead and talk about some rumors, because that can only add to the excitement. Nothing here is confirmed, but there's enough chatter from insiders to give us a probable list of what we might see. First up, Capcom. Rumors are swirling about Resident Evil 7 getting a native Switch 2 port. We saw this released via the cloud on the original Nintendo Switch, which is just gross. This is their opportunity for them to give us a native port, and hopefully we'll see more RE Engine games make their way to the Switch 2 in the coming year. Microsoft has promised that Call of Duty would come to Nintendo platforms, and with the Switch 2's upgraded specs, now could be the perfect time. Could this be the first time we see Call of Duty on a Nintendo console in many years? I wouldn't expect Black Ops 7, but maybe we have a port of Warzone ready to go. Additionally, Xbox has transitioned further into the third-party scene in the last few months, with games like Forza Horizon, Indiana Jones, and Gears of War recently making their way to the PS5 this past year. I think it's time we start seeing some of these titles on Nintendo's new, capable console. With a full hour to fill, I would expect this direct to be stacked with announcements from third parties, and I can't wait to see what ports and maybe even original titles we see during this presentation. And there you have it. With less than 2 days until Friday's Nintendo Direct, we have a lot to look forward to as Nintendo fans. Between Metroid, Zelda, Splatoon Raiders, Mario, and even Pokemon, plus all those third-party support incoming for the Switch 2, this could easily be one of the most exciting Directs we've had in years. I'll be covering everything announced after the Direct, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you don't miss it. And let me know down in the comments, what announcements are you most excited for? Until then, thank you so much for watching this video. Bye for now.